What's going on, guys? This is a 2003 Mazda B2300. Pretty much the same thing as a Ford Ranger. And it's got an issue where it's stuck on heat. Heat is always coming out of the vents even with the AC on. And the problem is due to this blend door. Today I'm going to be replacing the blend door and the actuator. The original parts on this vehicle had a problem where the actuator went out, and also the top of the blend door where the actuator mates was stripped. So first what I'm going to do is access the top of this, get to the actuator itself, which you can see right here. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect it. On this car it's just kind of clipped in there. On some of them they may be bolted, but I can just pry this up and out. So that's where it lives right there. And this piece goes down and it feeds into the top of the blend door and rotates it. So how do you get to the blend door? The actuator was easy enough. So if you look up the service manual, it says you have to basically remove this whole entire box and split it in half. There's an easier way that doesn't involve nearly as much effort, and that is to cut out kind of a triangle shaped piece down here. You can use a hot knife or you can use a Dremel. And so basically I'm gonna cut all around here and pull this down. This should allow me to access the door. You don't want to cut anything beyond this little seam right here though. There we go. Here's the blend door. All right, I had to put the phone down a bit to do this with two hands. Basically, I had to break this. I had to grab this flap with both hands and pull down, and it splintered the top, completely busted it out and made it go at an angle. And from there I could push up and move this out of the pocket right here and then pull it straight down through this hole. Now the reason why I'm replacing this in addition to replacing the actuator is because on the factory part, which is this one here, the top piece where the actuator goes into had broken away partially, so the actuator was just kind of spinning in there, not really doing anything. The new piece, when you go to install it, you'll notice it has an improved metal part, and when you go to install it, you actually have to pull this out. So this part actually comes out. It would be impossible to install if it did not come out. So basically with the metal piece out, you push this up and over, just like that. And you get it kind of to where you want it. You get this glove box back down. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and orient this somewhat in the direct way. So it wants to be, because you'll see on this end, on this part of it, it can go either way. But on the back side, there's only the one way it can go. So I'm going to go ahead and orient it on the actuator. and I can see the actuator sits in there like so. So I'm going to try to preserve that orientation. I'm going to preserve that orientation. So the actuator wants to sit like that. So I'm going to try to get this in there. So you find the hole and you get this in position, right? And while you're staged up there, you go ahead and come down here and you push the door into position. You see that right there? So I'm gonna have to set the phone down right now so I can put the blend door in position to where I can slide that metal piece back in. All right, took some trial and error, but I finally got the metal piece inserted. So now that that's in there, I can slide this actuator into place. And what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna be reaching down through the bottom. I'm gonna move the door around while I push down on the top of the actuator. See if I can get it to click in. I think it wants to go in right now. There we go. Got it hooked up. Now what I'm gonna do is see if it's working. Come on. Turn the temperature from hot to cold. You see it moving. So I'm real happy with that. Everything's good. Now it's time to pack everything up, clean everything out. Let me show you what I've got going on in regards to that. Gotta get rid of all this. Put everything back in the glove box, obviously. Whatever. The main thing is what am I gonna do about this big hole that I put in here? Well. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do with this. I'm gonna clean this groove up a little bit, knock away some of these plastic little shards or whatever. I'm gonna clean this up too. I might use this knife to kind of knock away these pieces. And then I've got metal tape. I'm gonna tape everything up real nice. Real nice. The goal is so it does not leak any air. So I'm gonna get on that. So I've got this piece cleaned up quite a bit. And it goes back in like so. So now I'm just gonna get some metal tape and tape it back up. All right. So it's not the most professional looking thing in the world, but it is airtight. And now the truck blows cold, so I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Like I said earlier, doing it this way has saved me quite a bit of time. I don't have to evacuate the AC and drain the coolant out and disconnect the heater core and all that stuff. I don't have to remove anything about the instrument panel or the dash. So all in all, great time saver and just as good of a repair as doing it the hard way. Let me know down below
below in the comments if you have any questions.